All right. Sorry, I'm en route to the office today. There was a huge backup on the highway. Not that traffic is any excuse whatsoever, but this is how you get today. It's an interesting setup, God. She can't hear me, I don't think. How you doing, Donna? Maybe she's frozen. All right, tell me some good news, y'all.
I finally closed out my last deal with the other company yesterday. Yay, the one that was giving me so much trouble, and the non-responsive agent. So it was very quiet at closing between the two of us.
Did you ever get a hold of them, or did they just show up to closing?
Nope, I just showed up to closing. The broker never called me back or anything like that.
The agent never showed up to closing, but their client did?
No, the agent did show up late to closing. The client showed up. We did a final walkthrough on yesterday just to make sure, because it was a big thing where she wanted to come back and try to take the refrigerator from the deal, which we never discussed not, taking that out. But she just showed up to closing.
I got to tell you guys something. What do you think? What do you think about that, guys? Do you think that shows an energy of cooperation and professionalism, or do you think that the next time LaWanda has a listing or a buyer and sees this agent's name, she's going to have a pit in her stomach? What do you think that says about her? It was a her or him?
Professional.
Right.
Yeah, it's personality.
Guys,
I definitely have a pit in my stomach.
Yeah. We are, there's a lot of realtors out there, don't get me wrong, but it's a very tight-knit community, okay? And you speak disrespectfully to somebody, you lash out at somebody when they don't deserve it, you don't show up or respond when you're expected to, it just doesn't go well. It's not going to benefit you or your clients in the future. It's not going to benefit the Roswell office. It's just not professional. Just, if you need an extra second, just take an extra second and go scream and then make the telephone call. And I'll be honest, I've talked to thousands and thousands of realtors, cooperating realtors, and I've let a couple of them have it, but I've always apologized. And I've always made sure I did my part and more. So please keep this in mind when you're interacting with your colleagues, whether they're at our office or elsewhere. Our professionalism is being watched all day, every single day. Okay,
True.
That's when you're interacting with the community, like kind of quote unquote during work time. It's also outside of work time. It's how you present yourself on social media. It's how you present yourself when you're at the local park or restaurant or anything. Okay.
And it does make all the difference in the world. I'm dealing with an agent right now on one of my listings, and I got to tell you, he's the best agent I've ever worked with. He has bent over backwards to help me, which has encouraged me to bend over backwards to help him.
Exactly.
The appraisal came in low, like some of you weren't on here, but my appraisal came in $20,000 lower than asking price. And, we sat for an hour and a half and tried to come up with comps to refute the appraisal, because all he wants is for his client to win, and all I want is for my client to win. So, today we have to come back together and figure something out, because, and it's going to make it so much easier for me, because I've been over backwards. So they're trying to come back to the table with everything they have, and
That's
vice
right.
versa, and it does make all the difference in the world. And, Alex asked me yesterday, she says, Mom, do all agents, are they all that nice and helpful? And no, they're not, by far.
Well, I would encourage you guys to always be that agent. Be that agent that is going to go beyond the call of duty, if you will, to be polite and pleasant and patient when you need to be patient and firm when you need to be firm. Yet it's always done from a place of genuine cooperation, because like Jan said, if you're a great person to work with, then you might end up getting the edge in negotiations. By the way, being a great person to work with and defending your client and protecting your client are completely separate. I'm not suggesting, laying down and letting the other side get whatever they want. I'm suggesting being polite. Okay. And I mean, I've told you guys this before. I've got a handful of agents across town that literally I can call up and say, hey, my buyer wants that home. I'm sure you have multiple offers. I want to win. What's it going to take? And they're like, Bill, I can't wait to work with you again. Just give me this. You see what I'm saying? So if I can get my client to give those terms, then we win. And I don't have to fight all these other agents, because I've made it a point to share with the real estate community that I'm a pleasure to work with. By the way, don't be so concerned about, oh, well, that's his job or that's her job or I've already done that or something. Just get it done. The best agent in the deal is going to do more than 50% of the work anyway. Just get comfortable understanding that. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Awesome. Okay, let's share some good news. I got a couple things I can talk about today. Who else wants to share something?
Well, I'm thankful for the people who are literally in my life. I have some great people, and just even with Keller Williams, Heather's not on the call. Yesterday was horrible, but she turned my day completely around along with a couple other people. So I'm so glad that I'm in the presence of greatness more than I'm not. And that sometimes brings me through whatever it is that I'm going through. So there was my great moment.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. It reminds me of a quote that I read. I'm not trying to get spiritual or religious on y'all, but I read a quote one time that said something to the effect of, what if you woke up tomorrow with only the things that you were thankful for today? Right? So like, if I didn't take a moment to be thankful that I have, clean air to breathe and a family and a house to live in and these kind of things, and then I would wake up tomorrow without that stuff. Right? So be grateful, man. You can't be grateful and be pissed at the same time. Right? How would you rather live, with a theme of gratefulness or with a theme of anxiety and stress and anger?
Gratefulness.
Right. Ebony, and this isn't directed at you specifically, but just to make sure you guys have I want to throw this fact out there is, don't forget that if you don't have all of your data in a database that is backed up into a cloud or something, please do so. Right? Don't have all of your data on a telephone that could get reset or lost or wet or something like that. Make sure, please, that you have it downloaded to a cloud somewhere, or uploaded, I guess, to a cloud, or saved, on an external drive, something like that, where it's independent of a physical device. Does that make sense? So when you're saving contacts, for example, to your phone, you can integrate it with Gmail, so it's actually saved to Google rather than your phone. And then you get a new phone and you just sync it with Google and everything pops in. Does everyone know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I had that horrible experience happen with the phone of mine. I had 2 years worth of data and pictures of my kids, and my phone had to get reset and I lost everything.
Yes.
And I would also add to use two-factor authentication on your KW account, which is a Google account. That keeps people from being able to hack your account, which definitely is happening for real estate agents.
Wow.
Yeah, did y'all see Barack Obama and Elon Musk and a couple other big guys had their Twitter accounts hacked yesterday? Bill Gates, if they can get hacked, you can get hacked.
Wow.
Be careful. Okay. Anyone struggling with anything that they want to share and get some advice on? Anyone? Anyone?
I'm actually struggling with this lease couple from New York. They want to move to Georgia. The referral that I'm working
You're a bit fuzzy. You're a bit fuzzy.
Okay, I'm not. Can you hear me?
All right. Can everyone hear her or no?
I can't.
No, she was fuzzy or
No.
breaking up.
Okay, it looks like she's trying to fix it. Anyone else want to chime in while Donna gets what? Okay, anyone else want to say anything while we wait for Donna? All right, we're having some fun with technology this morning, right? Liz, eyes on the road.
Ebony and I are talking about getting together to do lead gen a couple days a week.
Yeah.
And take turns doing calls. Like she does a call, I do a call, she does a call, I do a call. So we can help like listen to what each other's doing and kind of like process a little bit what we had done. And in doing that, we thought we'd do FSBOs one day and do expireds one day of the days that we're meeting. And so I didn't know if there's a better day to call them, like as far as when do you think, is there a heavier day that they usually get calls that would be better for us to avoid, or?
I haven't looked at any of that type of data. I would just call them. I don't know if anyone has done that research. I have. I wouldn't look for ways to postpone the call or to avoid the call. And the amount of time it took you to research it, you could have just called them. I would just say make the call.
Okay.
I would say that for expired listings, by the way, I mean, expired listings, you generally see more expired listings towards the end of the month, right? Because that's just generally speaking when the listing period ends.
Okay.
But FSBOs are a bit more random.
Okay. And we
But
thought
also don't be afraid to call the old ones. Right. So if something expired 6 months ago or was withdrawn, you know, let's say in like March, April, May, when COVID was really bad, that they may have taken the home off the market. Not that it's any better now, but they may have taken the home off the market for those reasons. And now they're, you know, we're all trying to make sense of like, how long is this thing going to be around? Is it any better? Is it any worse? Do we still have to take the precautions? Is the market stronger? Is the market not as strong? I mean, interest rates, guys, are like as low as they've ever been right now. Every person in your database that owns a home should be considering refinancing. Every renter should be evaluating, does it make more sense to buy now or rent now? Every one of them. If you're going to rent, that's fine, but I want you to know what buying is like. Okay? I want to expose you to what it would look like to buy. And if you want to rent, that's fine, but you need the information.
I have a question for you, Bill.
Yeah.
Going back to this appraisal situation, obviously I wasn't a realtor back in 2007, 2008. When they saw the market getting ready to turn, did you see a lot of these appraisal issues? I mean, because Gary Veal has had 2 recent appraisals. I know for a fact, this is the 3rd one I know of where the appraisals just came in so low compared to what they could have and should have. And they refuse to do anything about it, even though there's absolute proof that those aren't great appraisals.
Yes, this is a problem that exists out there, and it's not just tied to this particular market or that market 10 years ago. Here's the thing, as a result of what happened 10, 12 years ago, appraisals and appraisers and appraisal companies are under huge amounts of scrutiny. Okay, and a lot of times their jobs are on the line. right? So if they do an appraisal and then later on it turns out that that buyer goes south and the home goes back to the bank, then they're going to look back to audit that appraisal and see if there was anything going wrong. And if, for example, so that's one challenge. Another challenge is if there's appraisal companies out there that keep sending in low appraisals, then lenders will not use them anymore because they keep killing the deals, right? If you have lenders that are using bad appraisers and they won't go to bat for it, or they won't stop using the bad appraisers, then the lenders stop getting business, right? So there's like all these and the biggest factor probably is that appraisers or lenders, are oftentimes choosing an appraiser that is essentially willing to take the least amount of money to do the appraisal, right? Some of these appraiser companies are paying $150, $175 to do the appraisal. As we all know, that's just flat out not enough money. And so they're turning in these kind of, C+ appraisals, and they're the biggest obstacle to getting the deal done sometimes, right? That's why, by the way, it's so critical to make sure that, or to encourage your buyer with as much encouragement as possible to use a reputable lender, somebody like Shelter who has various appraisal companies, but they're all local and they all go back to the agents before they turn in a bad appraisal and say, hey, I'm having a hard time here. Can you give me some comps to, am I missing something, right? Where did you come up with this? What was the listing activity like? They're basically looking for a way to make it work rather than just throwing up a crappy appraisal and moving on to the next one so they can, put food on the table. So you have all these conflicting things, and that's what's causing so much kind of weirdness within the appraisal community. So unfortunately, you just got a bad seed. So you might have to go back like you guys are doing and put your head together with the other agent and the lender and have them reevaluate comps and all these things. But I've not had personally a lot of success with major jumps in appraisals. And the reason is because they're essentially having to admit that they did something wrong, right? That they came in too high or they used a bad comp or something like that.
This is the third one I've tried to get refuted, and all three of them, they said no. Both the Carries have been no. I mean, that's the thing is, even though this is a really horrible appraisal, I mean, they used a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. It was 500 square feet more, and they used comps that were 2 bedrooms compared to 3 bedrooms. And they took those comps out of a substandard neighborhood.
So these are all, I mean, you could try to put together a kind of a list of comps and comparables and analysis and all that. Turn that in. You could also potentially get the support of DS Murphy. DS Murphy's pretty much, I would say, known as one of the premier appraisal companies in town. They do a lot of CE classes and teaching, and they've got a really well organized organization. They've got a pretty good reputation, a really good reputation in the community. They could probably help you a little bit with that. I mean,
after the fact, Phil, after they've said no already, if we got DS Murphy involved, do you think that would be worth our money after they've already said no?
The truth of that is I'm not sure. I would probably send it to DS Murphy and say, hey, I'm in Keller Williams Roswell. Will you take 10 minutes and just look at this for free? And I bet you they would.
Okay.
Right. I mean, we just never know. We have to go to bat for our people. But hang on. Going to bat for our people does not mean, Jan, you write a check. Right?
Right. No, I'm not writing a check. I've already done everything I can do for this guy. This is all on him. I told him to get his damn house ready 3 months ago, and he didn't. Not my fault.
Listen, we're not being hired to bail our people out.
Yeah.
Okay. This is not our home. We're not sharing in the profits or any of that. Okay. We're helping. We are only the consultants and advisors and the concierge and all of that. But it's not up to us to make every problem go away with our own money. Is everyone clear on that?
Yes. Have you tried the lender?
Oh, the lender's gone to bat for us. I mean, this is all on the appraiser.
But I mean, I've had a lender reorder the appraisal on their
it's
dollar.
an FHA appraisal. And this is a prime example of why people say don't, don't take FHA deals. I mean, and it's sad because
Well, that's a whole different discussion. We don't have time for it today. You can have a lot of issue with that.
I mean,
if you get an FHA offer and it's the only one on the table and you turn it down because if it's FHA, you probably end up wearing orange.
yeah.
Okay. But if you got 15 different offers and one of them is FHA and the rest of them aren't, that's a whole different discussion.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. People don't accept offers because it's FHA, because there's so many things that you have to jump through.
Well, that's part of the evaluation of a buyer sitting down with a lender to say, are we choosing FHA because it allows you 3.5% rather than 5%? Are we choosing FHA because it allows for a lower credit score? Are we choosing FHA because it is some other factor that I'm not aware of? Like, would you consider, or oftentimes it's a lower interest rate too. Would you consider a conventional loan if it came down to a complication like this? Like, could you get a conventional loan? Again, it's all a matter of working with a competent lender that can go to bat for the borrower and brainstorm a bunch of options that. So in other words, let me give you an example of a lender that's probably not going to go through those hurdles. Somebody like an online lender. Quicken, Rocket, those kind of places. You go to Kathy, for example, and she's going to be up at midnight brainstorming ways to make this thing work. Does that make sense?
To me, yes, very much. I mean, because that's what these people have in their corner, is they have a good lender who's trying to work something out for them so that this deal doesn't go sideways, because my client is inclined to say no and just put it back on the market.
Well, that's a contractual question, whether they have the ability to do that.
Well, if the house doesn't appraise, they don't have to.
Well, if the house doesn't appraise, and then your client contractually says, your client's the seller, they come back and say, I'm not lowering the price, then they can't kill the deal. They can just say, I'm not lowering the price.
Right.
And the only way the deal is going to go south is if the buyer can't make it work.
Right.
So I know that's a bit of a nuance, but it's important to understand the seller can't just kill the deal. I know you know this, Jan, but the seller can't just kill the deal. They can make it more difficult. They can say, no, I'm not lowering the price. No, I'm not fixing that crack or whatever, but it's up to the buyer ultimately to leave. Everyone follow that?
And what's the procedure when they want to do that?
When they want to do what?
Come to terms, is there something that somebody has to sign?
Well, ask your question a little bit differently, please.
So we have our contract all in place, and the two parties cannot meet. The buyer can't get the funds together to make this work, and the seller's not willing to reduce his price. How do you end that contract?
So the contract is moving forward unless it's being terminated, right? So within the appraisal contingency or within the financial contingency, the buyer needs to put in writing that they're unilaterally terminating the deal because of one of those two reasons. And then we have to make sure that that reason is contractually valid. So it's up to the buyer's burden to notify the other party that they cannot or don't plan to move forward and therefore terminate the deal. And then if they're contractually allowed to, then they would likely get their earnest money back. If it's not clear or they're not contractually allowed to do that, let's say it's an appraisal that happens after the appraisal deadline, then it's not so clear whether the appraisal money would come back. I'm sorry, not appraisal money, the earnest money, right? So the short answer to your question, Jan, is that the buyer needs to file an a termination, right?
Okay, and it's just like the regular termination for other reasons.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Okay. I wanted to talk a little bit about your database today. Okay, guys. I want to just touch on a couple of things today, and we're probably going to run out of time. Please don't forget that we have our all group session today. That's from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock today. And we have our 2 sessions, 12 o'clock to 1 and 1 o'clock to 2. I have confirmed like 3 Friday sessions with top producers, but not for tomorrow. So tomorrow must be a popular day for people. I do intend to have somebody on the call, so please have your schedule ready from 12 to 1, and then we'll do our launch mastermind from 1 to 2. I just want to talk a little bit about your database. And many of you I've sat down with, and we've kind of reviewed what the why it's important to be aware of how large your database is, why it's important to continually be updating your database and adding data to it. But I want to just touch on one idea, which is, remember, when you properly communicate with 100 people that are in your database, properly communicate is a 36 touches per year, you're going to end up with 10 transactions. So 10% of your database will close every single year if they're properly communicated with. So what does that tell us? That tells us that if we were to add 10 people to our database, let's say a week, then we could basically add one person to our one closing to our books for next year. So what I'd like for you to do is, many of you, we've kind of been a little fuzzy on what our commitment is to growing our database. And my suggestion has always been 2 people per working day. So you go out and do lead generation however you want to do it. Okay, whether it's knocking on doors, cold calling, working your sphere of influence, circle prospecting, social media, open houses, whatever it is. But at the end of the week, I'm going to encourage you to ask yourself, how many people did I add to my database this week? Okay. That's what's called oftentimes a nurture. Okay, so this is a person who you have their name, their email, their cell phone number. They do not clearly have a commitment to a real estate agent, and they have a desire to buy or sell something in the future. Okay, meaning this is somebody that if you deliver value to over time, there's a good opportunity that you could be the one that earns the business, right? So how many people are you willing to commit to adding to your database every week? I'm going to say, I think a good number, particularly for people launching their business, is 2 a day, 2 a day, 5 days a week. Okay. At the end of that, you'll have 500 new people in your database a year from today. So if you then properly communicate with those people and you set up all those appropriate systems, which of course we help you do, you can have 50 units next year. Is there anyone that would not be satisfied with 50 units next year? I'm going to take that as everyone would love to have 50 units next year. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. The degree to which you are consistently adding people to your database will be a huge component in how many units you sell each year. So I want you to have top of mind on database ads. Okay, that's why we're tracking it. That's why we talk about it a bunch. You know, guys, it's databases are shift proof. People love you. It doesn't matter whether the market's hot or not. They still come to you, right? Higher conversion rates, less friction in the deal, better reviews. The calls are generally more enjoyable. Like, there's just a lot more exciting about working with people that you know than people that you don't know. Okay, but they got to get there first. So I'm going to ask you to have that top of mind this week as you're going about your days and as you're meeting people. Remember, the average realtor is not all that impressive. Okay, so if you're the polite, diligent person that executes on all the promises you make, and you can share plenty of value, which we have plenty to share, then you're going to be the one more often than not that gets the business later on. Okay. So do we want to have a contest today? Who wants to add the most people to their database today? You guys are already off adding people?
Can I count new vendors as database ads, people that I
Yeah.
call and kind of
100%.
try to develop a relationship with?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. These are all people that, I mean, they're probably quite honestly better than the average Joe.
Yeah, I'm
Because
thinking they'll be good for referrals.
they will if you teach them how to refer, and they will if you continue to pour into them and support their businesses. Absolutely. Database ads can be anybody. Don't judge them based on their business, right? If it's a divorce attorney, great. If it's a flooring installer, great. If it's an HVAC system, guy, great. Doesn't make a difference. They got to live somewhere too. And they're out in the field essentially lead generating, possibly for you, all day long. All right, whoever adds 10 people or more to their database today, I'll give you a special treat, to be determined. That doesn't mean like
Yay.
add all the people that are sitting in your stack that you've been ignoring for 6 months. New people. Fair?
Oh, come on, Bill. You know I've got a stack here a mile high.
I know, Jan. I said that specifically for you.
Well, I need alcohol when I'm done.
Okay, well, so be it. You'll probably have enough money from closings to buy all the alcohol you want if you put those people in your database finally. You know I'm playing with you, right?
Oh, I know.
All right, you guys. Have an awesome day. I'll see you at 3, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
See ya.
You too, Bill. Have a great day,
All
everyone.
right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Great.